Welcome to LKN Connect, People in the Know. Today we have somebody that most of you know, I'm sure, or have heard of. And I am so proud to introduce the American Funeral Director of the Year 2025, Sam James. Welcome.
Thank you. I'm so glad to be here with you.
And it's so rewarding and feels so good when you have your life planned out to the very end. As I was just sharing with you, my husband did.
Right.
He knew right down to the minute what he wanted to have happen. And I think that's what sets you apart from some of the other funeral homes that I've worked with over the past many years. When did you think you might be interested in going into this profession?
Very young. So
How
I
young?
had a good head start on life. I grew up in Huntersville. So Huntersville was a small town. There were about 1,500 people in Huntersville when I was a little boy. So it's changed dramatically. But I went to a funeral for my grandmother when I was 5 years old. And I came home from school one day, and my dad set my brother and I down and said that his mother, our Nana, had passed away. And did a great job looking back on it now as a father of little kids. He did a great job as our father laying out what the next few days were going to look like. We'd never had even a goldfish die. So
Yeah.
walking through this for the first time, he said, we're going to go to the funeral home and there's going to be a visitation where people are going to come by and speak to us. And I remember he said, Nana's going to be in a box. And as a 5 year old, my mind went to a cardboard box. And he said, then the next day we're going to go back and there's going to be a pastor there who's going to talk about Nana, and he's going to talk about Jesus. And then we're going to take that box to a cemetery and we're going to bury it. And we're a Christian family. So he talked about this is just her body, but her soul's already in heaven with Jesus. And
Yeah.
he talked through all of that with us. And I remember the experience so well. And our funeral director was Johnny Raymer, and Johnny had passed away in 2009. But Johnny was this very sweet man. He was probably in his 40s, probably just a little older than I am now when I was 5 years old. But he had white hair, so to a little boy, I thought he was 100 years old. But I saw how he loved my family and cared for them, and his calming presence. And I left that that experience as a 5 year old and said, I'm going to work there one day. And when I was 16, I literally went to Mooresville, got a driver's license to the DMV, drove to the funeral home. Mr. Raymer was still working there, asked him for a job, started there that weekend, and worked there all through high school and college.
That is an amazing story. You know, I had
Absolute
quite
calling.
the opposite. My parents didn't want to even talk about death. So it was very terrifying to
Right.
me. And on my third date with my husband, he said, how do you see your life ending? And what do you want? And having just gone through his passing 3 years ago, and the fact that we had everything planned,
Right.
he didn't leave one thing not.
No stone unturned.
That's right. And it made it such an easier process,
Right. Sure it
and
does.
one that if you can enjoy, because it is a very special time. And actually, I ended up doing his celebration of life, which was even more of a gift to me because it was just such a nice way for me to honor him.
Of course.
Yeah. Now, I think I have seen on Facebook, you have lunch and learns, which I think is fabulous.
We do. We started about 5 or 6 years ago, really working to educate our community on the values of pre planning. So once a month, we do a lunch and learn. They're typically here. We have a reception room at our funeral home. So they're typically here at the funeral home, but sometimes we'll do them at restaurants or at retirement communities. This month in August, we're actually doing a wine and cheese afternoon lunch and learn at 4 o'clock instead of doing it at lunchtime. So it's really not a lunch and learn; it's a wine and cheese and learn. But just trying to bring folks in a comfortable setting and talk about the value of pre-planning and why we do what we do. And I tell people at these lunch and learns, there's two stories that I kind of compare two situations that made me go, we really need to tell people about what we do. And just briefly, the one who had done nothing was a sweet little lady. It was 2 o'clock in the morning. I was at University Hospital in Charlotte, and her husband had died. He was almost 100 years old,
Oh my gosh.
and she was not far behind. And she said, "I um, I have no idea what to do next." And we pretty immediately start asking about burial or cremation so we can prepare the body because there's practical things that have to be done. And she said, "We've never had that conversation. I just never even saw this day coming." And in my mind, I'm going, he's 100 years old in the
Oh my
hospital,
gosh.
middle of winter. It's here. But I saw the stress that that put on her because she was afraid she was going to make the wrong decision. And she was having to grieve making these decisions without him
Yes,
before she could even grieve his loss.
that's right.
So you see that, and then on the other hand, to tell the story of this sweet couple that came in one day, they went to First Baptist Church in Huntersville, had the grave space there. They gave me their scripture readings, they gave me songs, they gave me,
Yeah,
picked out their caskets and vaults and prepaid it, did everything. And when you prepay it, it locks in the cost. Put a bow on it, and it was all done. And 2 years later, the wife who had come in had gotten Alzheimer's and didn't even know anybody, and the husband, who was the healthy one, had a cardiac event and died. And his daughter called me and said, "Dad died and says things are taken care of with you." And I said, "They are." And we went and brought him into our care, and they came in the next day. They were probably here for 30 minutes. We set the funeral time. I gave the pastor all the information. I showed them the casket and the vault and all of that. They said, "Well, what about the money?" I said, "He prepaid it, and it's taken care of. Don't
yeah,
worry about a thing." And they said, "That is so dad to take care of us even after he's gone." And I remember they were walking out the front door of the funeral home, and they said, "What about mom?" I said, "It's all taken care of for her too. So when something
yeah,
happens," and they're like, "Oh, that's so dad to take care of this for us, even when he's not here." And you see the difference between those two families and those
that's
two
right.
situations, and you go, this is a story worth telling. This is something that we need to educate our community on, because you don't often think, unless you're a funeral director, about the value of pre-planning. And most people that come into pre-plan, they do it because they just had a death of their parent or someone in their family. And it's either like, my mom had pre-planned and it was so easy, I want to do this for my kids, or the opposite, my parents had not done anything and I don't want to leave the kids with the mess and all the decisions I had to make. So those are kind of the main reasons I see people pre-plan.
Yeah. Well, to me, it made all the difference in the world because
Well,
I
you're
knew exactly
tired. I
what to
mean, when
do.
someone passes away, you've
Yeah,
been up around the clock taking care of them because
yes,
they're in your living room under hospice care, or you've been in and out of a hospital for the last 3 weeks in intensive care, and you don't feel like making hundreds of
yeah,
decisions. And so if you can have 95% of it done, and then you come in and just finalize a few details at the time, it really makes a huge difference. And it gives you time to think through decisions and not have to
yeah,
it also gives you the ability to make these decisions for yourself. So you can come in and pick that casket out for yourself, or,
yeah,
you know, sometimes not every family will agree on how things should be done too. So having those conversations up front, especially that big one about burial in a casket or cremation,
that's right.
and because that's a very personal thing. And I see a lot of kids that go, "I want mom cremated, I want mom buried," and they're having a fight, and mom's here at the funeral home. You can have those discussions ahead of time as a family with everyone, and it's a whole lot less emotional than it is at the
Well,
time.
and we even wrote letters to all our kids because we had 10 kids between us
Right?
and let them know exactly if I died, this is what's going to happen. If Lee dies first, this is what's going to happen.
So there's no
So
surprises.
there's no surprise. And then the night before my husband died, I went in with a projector and computer and I did the celebration of life I was going to do. And he just sat there and cried. And it was so beautiful because he knew and
Right.
he could go in peace.
Right.
And I think that's the one thing you want for the people that we love. So
Sure it is. Sure it is. These times are difficult, and I sit with families every day. We see hundreds and hundreds of families a year in our funeral home, and every situation is different. But why not make it as easy as possible?
That's right. And I love the fact I saw your daughter
Yeah,
sitting at your
Violet
desk.
and Henry both help here in the summer, so they're out for the summer now. So I love to bring them in, and they went with me on a service this week, and it was so fun, so sweet to have them with me.
Well, but I think that's wonderful because they'll grow up with a great experience of life and not be like I was terrified of it. I remember losing a high school friend and I wasn't even allowed to go to the funeral. And, that was just
Yeah,
the way
when
my
you're
parents
a,
were.
a child of a funeral director, you learn all kinds of things, I'm sure, and just
Yeah.
even dinner table conversations of of us. We were actually on the way home from that funeral this week, and Violet, who's a little girl, she's not old, she's 11 years old, and the man was cremated and was in an urn, and she said, I don't know that I like that urn. She said, I think I want to be in a casket. And I'm like, it's funny hearing your 11-year-old tell you
That's right.
what what they want for their funeral plans. But it's a lots of discussions we have that you probably aren't having around the dinner table of the dad that works for Bank of America or whatever.
Yeah. In the last few minutes, is there anything else you would like to add?
Well, just to tell a little bit about our services in 2010, I opened up James Funeral Home. We moved in our building here, which is in Huntersville, just at exit 23, beside of Goodwill and the State Employees Credit Union in 2012. In 2013, we purchased North Lake Memorial Gardens. North Lake is the only cemetery in Huntersville, Cornelius, or Davidson that's not connected to a church or we don't have town cemeteries in Huntersville, Cornelius, Davidson. So anyone can be buried at North Lake. It's a 30-acre cemetery. It's a beautiful cemetery. And we have a lot of options for burying cremated remains. We have a lot of columbariums and benches. It's a beautiful cemetery. We're doing a big expansion project out there right now on our cemetery. And then in 2014, we put an on-site crematory in our funeral home, which I found to be very important. Most funeral homes don't have their own crematory, so it's nice to be able to control the whole process. We don't cremate for other funeral homes, so it's just our funeral directors here that are cremating for families that
Okay.
James is taking care of. So it really gives us control over the whole process. So we're a full service funeral home, so we can, from the burial arrangements to the crematory side, to of course everything around the funeral home. One thing that we have that's really unique too that most funeral homes don't is we have a dedicated reception room. And if you've been to our funeral home, host a lot of, of course, the lunch and learns, but then like chamber after hours and things like that.
Yes.
We do that in the reception space, and it's nice to be able to walk from the chapel straight into a reception room and have everything right there for families.
Yeah. Well, I have very much enjoyed working with you and getting to know you. And
And
um,
I thank you for all of your service to our community. You do so much, and you are
yeah,
such an important part of Lake Norman, and I'm so thankful for you.
thank you. If you're a person that we should know, I would love to know. You can email me at designingdr@gmail.com. That's designingdr@gmail.com. And let us know, and we'll get you on People in the Know. Thank you so much for all you do for so many people.
Thank you. My pleasure.
Bye for now.
Bye bye.